Now we want to look at graphing lines by finding both the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay. We have a couple of examples that we're going to work through. So let's go ahead and get started. Remember, when we're talking about the x-intercept, we're talking about the point where the line crosses the x-axis. And the y-intercept is the point where we cross the y-axis. Something to keep in mind is that every x-intercept is of the form a0. That means that every x-intercept has a y-coordinate that's 0. For the y-intercept will always be of the form 0b. So every y-intercept has an x-coordinate of 0. Since we know that information, which coordinates are 0 to begin with, finding the x and the y-intercepts is pretty simple. So let's start here with this first example, and let's find the x-intercept. There's not a lot that we need to solve for. We don't need to do anything crazy. Just go ahead and start with this. The x-intercept is equal to, it is a point, which makes it an ordered pair. We already know that the y-coordinate is 0. So let's go ahead and plug the 0 in here for the y-coordinate. There are a couple of ways that you can go about finding the x-coordinate. You could take this, write the equation out, and replace the 0 here for the y. Or we can just do this. If y is 0, if this y is 0, 5 times 0 is 0. He's gone. And what do you see? You see the resulting equation that 2x is equal to 5. And from here we can find out that the x-coordinate is equal to 5 halves. Now since we're going to have to plot that over here on the x-axis, it might be best if we took this improper fraction and we converted it to a mixed number 2 and 1/2. So my x-intercept is 2 1/2, 0. Now let's look at the y-intercept. For the y-intercept, what do we already know? We already know that the x-coordinate is 0. So the x is 0, and we just have to figure out what the y is. Well, if the x is 0, that means 2 times 0, that's just going to give us 0, so we cover that up. He gone. So we have 5y equals 5. Now you may not need to write that one down. That one's pretty nice. So if 5y is equal to 5, divide both sides by 5, and we find that y is equal to 1. So our y-intercept is the point 0, 1. Always remember that x-intercepts and y-intercepts are points. Alright, so let's graph these. For the x-intercept, we have the point 2 1/2, 0. So 1, 2, here's 3, so 2 1/2 is going to be right here in the middle. Okay? So this is the point 2 1/2, 0. The y-intercept always goes on the y-axis. So here we are up here at 0, positive 1. And now we just draw the line that connects these 2 points. And we should be good to go. Just like in the other videos that you've seen, whenever you're drawing lines, make sure that you go all the way from one edge of the graph to the other, and also make sure that you put your arrows at the end showing that this line goes on forever in both directions. Okay? Now, let's look at the second example that we have. The second example, we're going to do the same thing that we did on the first example. You're going to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept just by knowing what coordinates we already have. So for the x-intercept, we already know that the y-coordinate is 0. If y is 0, cover him up, we see that 3x is equal to 6, which means that x is equal to 2. Now if you don't see that when we cover it up, if you have a hard time doing that in your head, it's okay. Go ahead, off to the side and write out what you see, which is 3x equals 6. Divide both sides by 3, and of course x is equal to 2. And when we do the y-intercept, remember that the y-intercept has an x-coordinate of 0. We already know that. Every y-intercept is going to have an x-coordinate of 0, always. Now here, if x is 0, we cover this up. 3 times 0 is 0, and I see negative y equals 6. Well, if negative y is equal to 6, divide both sides by negative 1, and that means that y is equal to negative 6. So there is my y-intercept. So let's plot these points, starting with the x-intercept. The x-intercept is 2, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, negative 6. Now, we just need to draw the line that goes to these 2 points. Get your handy-dandy straight edge out. And there we have it. Now, what would be a really good idea for you to do is to find other points on here that the line goes through. You know, this one looks pretty good. What are the coordinates for that one? Well, the x value is going to be positive 3, and the y value is up 3 as well. So let's come up here to the side and check that. Okay. So when I check that, I'm just going to plug that in here for x and for y. So 3 times 3 minus 3, does that equal 6? Well, you see very easily, yes, 9 minus 3 does equal 6, so that checks out. If we go back to the problem that we had previously, we can find a point on here and check it against the original one. How about this one? Actually, this one may be kind of difficult. I think this one looks the easiest one to pick off from that. The coordinates for this guy would be 5, negative 1. Let's see if that works there. So we have 2 times 5 plus 5 times negative 1, just replacing the x and the y with these coordinates. Does this guy equal 5? Let's see, we have 10 minus 5, and of course that does equal 5. So I feel pretty good about my graph. I know that it's accurate. I was able to check all of this. And here is that y-intercept from before, 0, 1. So the points are labeled, we're able to check, and our answers are correct.